We're here in the studio with Rose Reisman. Welcome. And thank you for the book, The Best of Rose Reisman. I haven't seen this book, so I'm so glad you brought it. Tell us about it.
You know what? I have written 21 books, and I think I've finished writing cookbooks now, but it was, even when my kids were growing up, they said, Mom, why don't you put together all the recipes that we've been raised on and make changes? So I wrote that book, and it is probably my favorite book out of all of my books, because every recipe I love is in there.
Okay, so and the best of you.
The best, yeah, for children.
I'm excited to go
everything.
through it and make some recipes for my family.
Please
so thank you for that. So Rose, it's been said that the recipe for life is a balanced life.
Yeah.
Can you give us some tips on how to achieve balance in our lives?
It's tough, let me tell you, to reach balance, and you're not going to have balance every day, so don't look for it every day, because there's no such thing as perfection. It's really just looking at, waking up in the morning, doing, if you can, doing what you love to do. In terms of my life, it's all oriented around health. So for me, it's about fitness, it's eating well, it's breaking bread with friends and family. I love it. I love cooking for crowds. And when you break bread and you eat with people, you get to know who they are. And I could look into my children's eyes every night at dinner and know what was going on in their lives.
I love that, and that's so true.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, when I cook for large groups of people, I think the biggest problem is timing the food so it's always warm, and that's always my biggest fear. Is that a thing?
That is a real thing, Susan.
Like how do you even?
So every Sunday night I have my entire family that's growing now, and there's 15 every Sunday night, and I got one who's gluten and dairy free, and every so I plan everything, and it is hard, but if you organize it earlier in the day, meaning I don't like to cook my food earlier in the day, it's not as fresh tasting. I have 2 ovens, which is a blessing, but you really have to do the timing. And while people are coming in, my husband has got some wine going and cheese and crackers, and he's kind of entertaining. Little kids are running through, and I'm there just oven 1, oven 2, timer this. And you try to do it as coolly as possible. You become better and better at it as you keep doing it.
So the key is to do it.
Do it. Do it.
Right.
You got it.
Okay, so Rose, why did you enter the health and wellness field?
Good question, Susan. My whole family was stricken with heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes type 2. So most of my immediate family members died in their 50s. So when I was in my 30s, they discovered high cholesterol. Now, I was working out like crazy. It didn't matter. I was slim, didn't matter. What I was putting in my body with the genetic component was killing me. And I realized, oh my God, they all died in the 50s, and I was in my 30s. And I didn't really understand what clean or fresh eating was. I knew you were supposed to eat salad, so slowly but surely, early 30s, I just educated myself on how to live better, how to eat better, and cholesterol went away on its own, which was wonderful. Until today, I just continue working out daily, and absolutely I cheat. You have to cheat, right? I love a day on a Sunday when my whole family comes. I eat like there's no tomorrow. I pay for it Monday morning and go back on track that week. So that's really the main impetus to why I eat well, and I raise my children to do the same.
And did you have a mentor to kind of guide you, or anyone give you some really good advice that pushed you?
You know what, I read a lot. I did see a nutritionist, and then I went back and became a registered dietitian. So I did that. I had 4 little kids at home, and I just did it. Well, you could actually do it online back then. It taught me a lot, and every day of my life now I'm constantly looking at what's new, what's trendy, what's healthful. For instance, coconut oil. Everybody was using it like crazy. Now they've gone back and said, you know what, it may not be as good for you as you think. So I'm constantly following the trends. It's a saturated fat. So we all know saturated fat, like butter, ghee, animal fat, it clogs your arteries. Right. But they said something about coconut oil, that it has medium short chain acids that apparently bypass and don't clog your arteries. This is what they said 5 years ago. And today they're going back and saying, if there is a history of high cholesterol, you should cut back on your coconut oil. So this is a problem. Drink coffee, don't drink coffee, eat butter, don't eat butter. We're constantly doing this research, and that's where balance, as you said before, balance really comes in.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, Rose.
Yeah.
Where did your business begin, and when did you become a health lifestyle leader?
1993, I started writing light cookbooks. And I just decided, you know what, I was going to get this published. I didn't have a publisher then. I self-published on my own. And then I said, if I could hook up with a really good charitable organization through health, so I joined up with the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. Now, knock wood, no one in my family has suffered breast cancer, but as you know, too many women have. So we just kind of hit the jackpot. I wrote a book called Reisman Brings Home Light Cooking in 1993. We sold 750,000 copies in Canada and raised $1 million for breast cancer research.
Amazing.
So that not only made me happy, I mean, you know, in a business I did well, but I raised that much money for breast cancer. And I just said, hey guys, this is not a book about preventing breast cancer because we don't know what causes breast cancer. But let's clean up our act. Let's live healthier. Maybe that will reduce the risk of any disease we have. So that's really where it started.
Very good. And you know, you do have a lot on your plate with your catering services and your kids lunchbox program. Tell us about those. I'm familiar with your catering services. I love that.
So I now have, my name is still there. I have sold my business as of right before COVID, but we had Reisman Catering, and we were the first caterers in Canada that said to corporate groups, law firms and accountants, I'm going to give you a great lunch, affordable, but it's going to be healthier. Why do you want to fatten up your staff? People really enjoyed that. So we took sample lunches down to all the law firms and business companies, and we ended up having over 200 clients back in probably 2014. And then I said, well, look at the lunches kids are getting. It's terrible. I would go into schools and see kids packed with 2 hot dogs from yesterday night, or there were some suppliers out there just packing them Kraft dinner. So we went into that, and we were producing 2,000 lunches a day for kids. And then we went into home delivery. So I developed a line of home delivery where you could either throw it together like HelloFresh yourself, or we would deliver breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks to you for weight loss, or just healthy living, or you know, gluten-free disorders.
And you offer these cottage boxes that are ready. They're just easy. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
really great.
Well, we had a big team. We had a lot of people in our catering operation. So, but I just love the ideas. I think that's what I'm probably best at.
And creative for sure. So it seems now as well, like I guess maybe in COVID more than ever, it exploded. These ordering apps where you can go and skip the dishes and Uber Eats and DoorDash. So it's very convenient. However, are we as Canadians consuming too much of the wrong foods?
I worry about ordering in meals all the time because restaurants are not advocates for your health. And we all know restaurants have way too much fat, way too much sodium. Diabetes is on the rise, high blood pressure is on the rise, obesity is still on the rise. And I think that's due to our culture of consistently eating out and making things happen instantly, as opposed to, you know, the other day I made my little grandkids sliders. You know, I do it easy. I took a big sheet pan like this, mixed up my ground beef, put it on there, cheese on top afterwards, cut it in like 12 sliders. So much healthier than
Do they watch you do it?
They like to watch me do it, and
because that's an art in itself.
And they're critics. They're critics, little kids.
Okay.
But I mean, I taught my kids Kraft dinner is there. Once one of my kids came in, they went, "Mom, Susan's got the best recipe for macaroni and cheese. You should get it." I said, "Okay, I'll call her." It was Kraft dinner. So, so you know, kids love salt. They love sugar. They love fat. So we have to try to educate them, educate their taste buds to enjoy fresh.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It was lovely getting to know you and sharing all about Rose.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
You're delightful, Susan. Thank you.